Okay, welcome to the City of Glendale Arts and Culture Commission meeting of February 21st, 2019. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioners Derhovanessian.
Here.
Oshigan.
Yes.
Vice Chair Sidorian.
Here.
Chairperson Vidor.
Here.
For the record, Commissioner Sahakian is not present. The agenda for the February 21st meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on February 15th, 2019.
Next item.
Item 2, consent items at 2A, approval of regular meeting minutes from January 17th, 2019.
Does anybody have any additions or corrections? Okay, I have just a couple. On agenda item 5, business, just change it from Chair Vidor under Commissioner Zadorian nominated Chair Vidor to Commissioner Vidor. And in the next sentence, Commissioner Vidor as well. And then on the next page, item number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth bullet point down. I just want to clarify here my comment about the Commissioner Oshigan's concern about the work plan's progress, and that would include also the position, but that I was referring to the plan's progress there, so you can change that. And that's it for me. Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
I make the motion to approve as amended.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
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 Oh, I'm going to read the roll call. Commissioners Derhovanessian.
Yes.
Oshigan.
Yes.
Vice Chair Sidorian.
Yes.
Chairperson Vidor.
Yes.
Item 3, introductions and presentations. Library Arts and Culture events presented by Chuck Wyke, Community Relations Manager.
Good afternoon, Chair Vidor, Commissioners, City staff, and our many visitors today. I'm going to give you actually a kind of lengthy overview of what's coming up at the Library Arts and Culture Department the end of this month and through March. First of all, I want to say that our Valley Girl Redefined show continues through almost the end of March. It's had some really spectacular feedback. For instance, the City of Los Angeles gave certificates to, there's our staff up there and some of the artists. That was the City of LA. There's a magazine called The New Yorker. Yeah, they
Yeah.
wrote an entire article on the Valley Girl show. We were very happy about that, and they even did little caricatures of one of the artists and one of the curators. Along with the show that, again, continues through March 22nd, we have some other programs. There's an art censorship, Is Anything Off Limits? That is, I believe, in part kind of co-sponsored with Artillery Magazine. That's on March 9th at Brand Library. The actual finish of the program is Friday, March 22nd, and even that is going to be a big deal. There's an exhibition tour, and all the artists are going to be present. It should be a lot of fun. So that's March 22nd. Brand Library has a number of programs coming up, including 2 in March 9th and March 23rd. We have 2 different performing groups. There's harpist Cristina Montez Mateo on March 9th and the Eclipse Quartet on March 23rd. And the music series is also sponsored by the Brand Associates. We have a program called Music Animated. When Brand reopened a couple of years ago, 2014, they incorporated a number of programming initiatives for children and families, and so one of the things they did was build a music petting zoo. So that's big boxes full of a variety of instruments, from ukuleles to trumpets to synthesizers to drums. So after each of these music animated performances and workshops, children and families can play on the instruments. On March 2nd at 10:30, that's a Saturday, there's a taiko group, Kazan Taiko, and everybody will be able to hit a drum after that program. On Saturday, March 30th, again 10:30, the Honolulu Avenue Strummers will be there. That's a local ukulele group, and they will perform, and then people will be able to play ukuleles following that program. Incarceration Nation is our Reflect Space exhibition. It's subtitled, I'm sorry, wow, look at that. Erasure is our, I didn't pull that title off. It does go through April 14th, but it's called Erasure, and it's Native American Genocide, a Legacy. We're very, very excited about that. If you haven't been down there, it presents works by indigenous artists aiming to reclaim and redefine Indian history using their own narratives. It's really a fun program, a very deep subject, but a lot of fun at the same time. There are a couple more panel discussions coming up. There's one on March 19th, Expressions of Modern Indigenous Lives, and another one on March 26th, moving forward, Ideas, Images, and Policies. There will be entertainment at that program also. Again, Erasure. That's the program. It's at Reflect Space at the Downtown Central Library. Boy. Karen Collins is an African-American artist, and she builds dioramas, basically, I guess you'd say, in miniature, and she calls it her African-American Miniature Museum. That's at the Central Library. We've got a nice case. It's all lit up. You can see some of her work. That goes through the end of March, very detailed, all about African-American life. From Africa through slavery, through modern times, she focuses on ordinary life and the lives of maybe more well-known people like Billie Holiday. Really a stunning exhibit. We have a number of art initiatives at the Library Arts and Culture Department. This month, we're having a bookmark design contest. So children up through grades 8 can design a bookmark, and the bookmarks will be, a number of them will be chosen, and the bookmarks will be used throughout the library department all year long. We'll announce those, I believe, in April during National Library Week. But that's going on right now, so if you know any kids, get them down to the library and pick up free bookmark blanks. We provide all the materials you need if you want to do it in the library, or you can take them home. There's another design contest. Perhaps some of our guests today should know about this. We have library cards designated for adults, for children, and for teens. So there is right now a teen library card contest. I can give these students today the website if you want, but look on the library website and look for that link. Basically, you design one of our new teen library cards. We give you a template that you kind of have to follow because it's got to be proportionate to our library cards. But you can do it digitally. You can paint on the diagram. You can scan your work. It's real straightforward. That runs through the end of March. A fun contest, and again, we print thousands of library cards. You know, they get used every day by lots of people. We give them out all the time, and your library card design could be one of those. Speaking of teens, we recently had a teen fair, and that was on February 8th. I just have a few photos from the event. It included live performances. There was a panel of YouTubers. There were selfie stations. There were life-size games. There were video games. We decked out the central library and made it look like a lot of fun. I'm sorry it can't be like this every day. We had, this is what do you call it? Thank you, a K-pop group that came in and performed. First time, I believe their name is. There's some students doing League of Legends. There was a demo up on stage, and we had so much fun that I think we're going to bring the League of Legends demos back to the library at some point. There was an arch kids could walk through. One of the schools brought their robotics. It might be Clark. They came down. That was a hit. This guy is a YouTuber. He was really popular, and I frankly, not him or the other YouTuber, but they sat and talked for a solid half hour, and the teens asked lots of really good questions. They answered questions about what it's like to do this, what they think they'll be doing in 5 years. You know, is this a way to make a living? Is it a stepping stone? Is it just simply fun? What's it all about? The kids were really interested. It was really gratifying to see all the older teens kind of hang out and listen, because there was a lot going on. So again, that was our first ever teen fair, called it GEN, Glendale Empowerment Now. It was based on feedback we got from teens last year. What do you want? What can we do that would get you in there? Also, the teens were able to pick up lots of community service time. So helping us with this volunteering and so forth. We really had a good turnout, and it was a lot of fun. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, next item is
If I
oral
could,
communications.
excuse me, Arlen, if I could add
yes,
just a couple
go
of
ahead.
things. Yeah,
Sure.
I would just like to mention real quick about our erasure, since we have a lot of artists here in the show. Our erasure exhibition right now at the Central Library includes a number of very, very good artists. In fact, an artist who was in the Hammer Museum exhibition very recently, who brought her installation directly to be in our library, which is a huge honor for us. And a number of artists who have shown in museums, in the Autry Museum. In fact, at the opening, there were a number of Autry, the director of the Autry Museum came to see the exhibition. So I urge anybody who's listening, who's here, to come and see some of the exceptional artists that we brought to the Central Library. Thank you.
Sure, it's fantastic. Anybody else have a comment before we move on? Okay.
Can I also say happy birthday to Chuck? Today's his birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Chuck.
birthday, Chuck.
Should we sing for you?
Thank you. Thank you. The
We're better off
city
not doing that.
knows. I thank you.
Okay, so now we'll move on to oral communications, and we have Alyssa Glickman from the Alex and Glendale Arts to speak with us. Thanks for being here, Alyssa.
Thank you. On behalf of Glendale, first of all, I guess I'm Elisa Glickman. I'm the CEO of Glendale Arts. On behalf of the organization, we wanted to congratulate the two of you on your recent appointments. It's going to be a rock star team. And also congratulate Commissioner Sahakian for all of the success during his tenure. The last time I was before you, I threatened to get myself on the agenda in a coming meeting. Unfortunately, some personal matters precluded that from happening, so I'm here today to kind of introduce the concept and then invite myself onto the agenda for a future meeting. As you all know, this year we're hosting our 4th Open Arts and Music Festival on September 14th.
Okay, hold on.
The festival was created from a request for proposals from the Arts and Culture Commission.
I'm sorry, they can't hear you.
They can't hear me. That's never happened.
I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? I don't think the mic is on. Oh, that's all right. I'll just talk louder.
You can pick it up for the TV audience.
Okay, so, all right. I'll just stand here then. and I'll bend over slightly so that I look awkward. So on September 14th, as I said, we will be hosting the Open Arts and Music Festival, once again closing down Brand Boulevard in front of the Alex Theater. As you all recall, the OAM was started from an RFP from this group with seed money from the commission. And what we are looking to do is partner with the commission on the things that the commission and the city do well, which is really public arts. So we would like to discuss the possibility of us handling all of the programming and logistics for the event, coming up for goals and themes and ideas, and really coordinating with this body what the public art component for OAM this coming year will look like. It's not what we do best. We've had some really great success over the last couple of years, but we think that we can deepen the purpose and the longevity of some sort of installation with some sort of collaborative partnership. So that's what we would like to discuss at the next meeting. And if it's appropriate, to potentially assign either a member of city staff or a commissioner to meet prior to discuss some of these ideas that we have and ideas that you might have, then our presentation to the commission next month would be much more purposeful. So thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to talking with you further.
Thank you very much, and we'll take your agenda item into the fold, so we won't discuss anything now, but thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, next item, we move on to the selection of the Glendale winner of the Hollywood Burbank Airport Tower Banner Competition.
Chair,
So-
we're gonna take a break.
Oh,
1 minute.
okay. In the spirit of aviation, Houston, we have a problem, so we'll be on break for a couple seconds here, and then we will move on to that. So while they're doing that, I'll just say thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it, and we're very excited about participating in this selection. You have your sheets. Yeah. You will tabulate. Okay. Sure. We will take a brief recess. I'll be like the judge. Recess. Okay, next item.
Item 4, oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not on this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision.
We did oral communications
did?
already,
Oh, I'm so
yes.
sorry.
So now we're on
Business agenda? Item 5?
item 5.
I'm so sorry. Item 5.
That's okay.
Business agenda. At 5A, selection of Glendale winner of Hollywood Burbank Airport Tower banner.
Okay, Chuck.
Chair Vidor, commissioners, city staff, and guests, the Hollywood Burbank Airport Authority and the Glendale Unified School District respectfully request that the commission review and select the best qualified artwork for their 2019 Tower Banner competition. Each year since 2007, the Airport Authority has invited all Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena Unified School District high school students in grades 9 through 12 to enter the student art contest. This year, each school district presented to the Hollywood Burbank Airport its top 3 entries that best depict the theme Heroes of Aviation. The Arts and Culture Commission from each respective city is asked to consider the 3 entries and make a final selection of 1 entry from its school district based on the judging criteria and the contest rules and regulations. In Glendale, the school district selected the top 3 entries from 20 submissions. The commission is now asked to select the first, second, and third place winners from these top 3 Glendale Unified School District entries. Once the finalists are selected, the winning artwork will be translated into a large banner measuring 17 by 26 feet. Portrait, which will be displayed on the facade of the airport terminal for approximately 3 months, where it will be seen by well over 1 million travelers and airport visitors as they arrive and depart the terminal. In addition, the winning artwork may be displayed at other airport facilities and on street banners. Each school district will receive a $3,000 award in honor of their winning entries, and that award will serve as a license fee for the Airport Authority's exclusive use of the winning art for a 2-year license period. The school districts have agreed to use the award to help support and promote their respective education programs for the arts. Once the 3 entries have been chosen by the Arts and Culture Commissions, the order of their display will be determined by the Airport Authority. So, we've given you a scoring rubric, and we ask that you review, judge the entries independently using the attached criteria, and then I will tally your scores and announce the first, second, and third place winners.
Thank you. So I'd like to ask the commissioners, does everybody have their materials and has completed their scores? And would anyone like to make a comment, or you're certainly welcome to save it, but you can make a comment now if you'd like.
A question, maybe possibly, to have the artwork, because usually we ask them to display it somewhere.
I've taken the liberty of producing a PowerPoint
Over there, okay, okay.
slide for you.
Yes, and if you feel that you want to see the art, the actual, what we can do, we didn't plan this, but we can have the 3 artists stand up with their placards.
You probably want to just
Go
hold
ahead.
the 3. We can hold the 3 pieces up. You don't want to put them together with their makers quite yet.
Okay.
It's okay, it's
All
just
right.
You know
to
what I
have the actual
Thank you.
display, because we have seen it both
Okay.
on the computer.
So maybe the instructors could hold each of the pieces. Are there 3 instructors there?
Yeah, they can bring it forward here so we can see it up close.
So that's A
That's A,
and B
B
and
is in the
C.
middle, and C is at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Question?
Yeah, all right. Ara and then Savannah. Go ahead.
For number A, is this hand-drawn? Is it computer-generated? What's the process for that one, actually? It's very interesting. If you could come up to the microphone, please. Just in terms of the process, yeah.
This is computer generated, and it's called a low poly design, which students use the triangle shapes, and it's very tedious and time consuming, but it is a very, it comes out to be a very beautiful design. So that's the process. My name is Ms. Paronikian. I teach at Clark Magnet High School.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So that being the case, did we want to also mention the genre or technique of the other two?
Yes, please.
Since we, got some information about one, let's hear the other two.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ricky Nye. I'm a teacher at Christiana Valley High School. So the two works that I have in my hands, I'll let my student to talk more later, but basically the idea of Hill Aviation is they use, these two are hand-drawn, so they're not computer-generated. They use a little bit of references of images from online, from internet, and to depict some of the heroism in aviation. This one is, as you can see, there's no references, but it's all done. I've been watching her doing from sketches all the way to the final results.
Okay.
So she did all this on her own, and this one is both done in acrylic paints. That's the medium.
Great. Thank you. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually had a question.
yes.
What class is this for? Is this graphic arts? Is it, like, what class is this exactly?
Okay, so for CV High School,
Yes.
I assigned this to my advanced art class.
Advanced art.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is just composed of drawing and painting mostly. There's no computer in my classroom. So, but they could bring their laptop and work digitally. So.
Thank you. And could we get the information on that for the other piece as well? You want to come forward again and just reintroduce yourself and answer the same question about which class this was generated in.
So again, this is Ms. Paronikian, Clark Magnet High School. This is for a graphic arts class, so basically design, and it is generated on Adobe Illustrator, using Illustrator and design.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay. Any other questions? If not, we will go ahead and turn in our forms and let the tallying begin.
I need to make this look better.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Okay. And while the tallying is going on, we will hear from, I think I have a card for Ricky Nye, and of course, your others are welcome to come up, and students, and we would certainly be happy to hear from any of you at this point, since it's going to be a while before, not a while, it won't be as long as the recess was, but he has to do the tallying, so you can go ahead and do that, and we would just like to hear from you and your students.
Okay. I just want to say a quick things, like just want to say thank you for you guys' time, for the board of members to devote your time to help with the process, the judging process, and also the GUSD, and giving this opportunity for my students and all students actually at the high school level. And there's really rare chance they get this kind of opportunity. They don't see the final result until today, where they say, oh my gosh, it's actually on the banner in the airport tower. So it's also almost like a public art for them. So I just want to thank, yeah, it is a public art. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. So.
We're honored to do it. Thank you. So, in a
Could
moment.
I ask a question from the dais and staff?
Go
If
ahead.
other schools are interested, because I have been approached by some private schools as well, and not for this competition, but if they have any kind of something that is relevant to libraries and book covers and artwork in that direction, could they come to the commission and use us as jurors, or to invite us to their schools to do that with them. I said, this is a kind of a thing question that came to me. I thought it's an opportunity I can ask while they're tallying. Yes, they can do that? Okay, good. So they will come and talk to the staff, and then they'll bring it to the commission if they have such desire. Thank you. Good to know. And if they're listening, because I've told them they can watch, because this is happening about the Burbank Banner, which is a great honor, and they're really flabbergasted with the idea. So I said, you can watch us at 2 o'clock or the reruns. So you would give them an idea so they can hear the message as well at this point. Thank you.
I'd like to add that I'm very proud to say that I am a Falcon. So I graduated from Crescenta Valley High School, so I'm very happy to see that 2 of the chosen pieces are from CV. I don't remember very well, Mr. Nye. I'm sorry, I never took art classes when I was at CV. I took graphic arts. But these are all incredible in their own ways. I mean, it's kind of difficult to choose because each one is so different in its own style, obviously, and they're very beautiful. I'm glad it's anonymous. And I'm just very proud of all 3 of you. You guys did an incredible job. They're beautiful pieces, and I'd be happy to see any of them flying out from that airport. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll add to that. When I looked at them, I found them all extremely moving, and took actually a lot of notes on all of them, like this means this, and this must mean this, and you know, there's a little bit of everything that makes very strong statements about aviation, but they're all different. They're all looking at it from a different perspective. So that was really nice to see. Obviously, not only did you study your art well, but you've done your homework on the subject matter. And I have to ask, being from Chicago, where the O'Hare Airport is, the main street of O'Hare Airport is Bessie Coleman Drive. I was wondering, is that Bessie Coleman in the middle picture? I wasn't sure. Yes, okay. That's what I thought. I recognized that smile in the hat. And no, they're all extremely beautiful and really difficult to, you know, tease out a winner from the 3. You can be proud of all of yourselves. Great. How were we doing?
I could add something. I didn't go to CV. But my kids go to CV. 2 of my kids go to CV. One of them graduated. One of them is currently going to CV, and I know how difficult it is, how little time they have to do things that are kind of extracurricular. So I want to congratulate you students who put the extra effort in. I'm sure you worked after school, at home, and all the time to really create these really beautiful pieces of art. So congratulations, and thank you so much for coming here and presenting this work to us.
So I need to add also, I have been an
You are from
administrator.
CV.
No. But I have been 20 years with Glendale Unified, at least the last 10, 12 years of it, an administrator, and I have worked closely with CV and CV parents. I've provided a lot of parenting classes and counseling for the families. And, you know, anything about Glendale Unified is home to me. Everybody knows that. You know, I consider myself a Glendale Unified person forever after. So I'm always very proud. And last time I missed because of some health issue, but when I saw that this competition is going on still with this special shoe I'm wearing, I thought I need to be there because I love to see the work that kids do. Yes, it's well thought of. There is some diversity in some of them. There is the concept of past and future. The other one is actually very handsome, looks like a grandfather of anyone. Solid kind of, yeah. There's substance. It's beautiful, the work done beautiful. It is, you know, it's always fun to see young people's work, especially school people's work. And thank you to the teachers who help to bring forth the best, the gem that you find in your students. So it's an honor for us to be here and to evaluate whatever we see. So thanks for including.
We also support Clark, just so we're clear. We're only commenting on CV right now. I'm sorry. We love Clark.
I would like to say that as a product of the Chicago public school system, I'm totally neutral. I love all Glendale schools.
Chuck, did we get it? Ready?
Are you ready?
Yes, yes. Chair Vidor, commissioners, city staff, and guests. The three artists, A, B, and C, are Talene Amerkanian, Serena Kachatourians, and Margaret Hoffheim. The winning artwork, based on your scores, was the second one from Serena Kachatourians.
The B1?
B. So where's
She
Serena?
won?
Congratulations. First.
Who is the second?
Well, the other two were very close, 1 point apart between Margaret and Talene.
So we'll call that a tie, and I'd like to congratulate all of you again. But Serena, your dream of aviation heroes. I guess we have, what's her name? Wow, senior moment here. Amelia Earhart and the Wright brothers and Bessie Coleman, who were very early aviators, and then a young, dreamy person with a jet plane in their hand is very lovely. And also the beautiful portrait of Sully Sullenberger with what looks to me like a plane coming right in over the bridge, ready to land on the water in that dramatic fashion that made us all hold our breath, is also very beautiful. And then we have the beautiful, dreamy NASA and child dreaming of aviation and all the different forms it's taken through the years up in the clouds there. So very evocative, very beautifully explained. And again, congratulations, Serena. I'm headed for Burbank Airport soon. I don't know if your thing will be up. I don't think it'll be up yet, but when I go there, I'm going to be looking for it. So, would you like to come up? I have a card from Ricky Nye, and we'd love to invite you up to say something about your work. We'll take Serena, and then the other two artists are welcome to also come up. Congratulations.
Thank you. This piece meant a lot to me because I thought I could give a voice to people who have a dream and they look up to people. A hero to me is someone that you see achieving really big things and you want to be just like them. So I thought I would show a little kid thinking about people they look up to and someone who's a hero to them. So. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say that I have known Serena basically since she was born. And I saw her downstairs. I said, "What are you doing here?" And I've never been more proud. So thank you. I was best friends with her sister, and I've known her mom for years, and I'm so happy that you won. I'm very proud of all of you, but congratulations.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. And Talene, you want to say something?
Yeah, no, can we have the other artists?
Yes,
come
I
up
was going to
and
say
speak?
Talene and Margaret, if you would come up and just say something, and you can bring your work with you so the public can look at it on TV.
And they will see their faces too. It's beautiful.
I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I had a lot of fun designing this. Chesley Sully Sullenberger, he is one of the very few people that I remember watching the news from when I was 8 years old. So it really inspired me. His heroism inspired me to create this artwork of him. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's really quite beautiful.
Thank you.
I love the way you used the computer to create that rather cubist-looking skin tone and texture.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I'd
And
purchase
the gradation and gradient of the, reversing the water in the sky in such a dramatic way. It's really nice.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Next.
Something?
Yes,
It
go
is
ahead.
extremely professional. It's something that one would like to hang on, in your own house. It's so well done. Question, by the way, the other ones I think are also on display somewhere inside, right, Chuck? The other work that people do besides the big banner on the tower, there is an area, right?
I do not know. I don't know what the airport district does. I know that the school district picks 3, and then those 3 go to this competition. So there's probably 9 pieces of art, and they may use them throughout the year, but I don't know where they put them. I can find out.
We hope so.
Mr. Nice.
Yes, good.
Yeah, reintroduce yourself and
Hi,
tell
my name
us
is
the
Ricky
story.
Nye. I'm from CV, high school art teacher. Just based on my previous experience in the competitions, what they do is the first winner from each district is get to a chance for 3 months to hang the banner. The rest of those are displayed in the hallway in the terminal somewhere.
The terminal,
And they're-
that's it.
In the
Yeah.
terminal, okay.
So they're pretty larger than the post. than
So
the
they'll
regular
be
size.
on public
Yeah,
display as
they are
well,
the
just
bus.
not
Well,
as a
you're right,
banner?
right.
Oh, okay,
So
that's
they're
good
all
to
gonna
know.
get a chance. Yes.
Oh, I remembered well, good.
Makes me happy. Okay.
Thank you.
Come on up, Margaret.
Hi, I'm Margaret Hoffine. This was my picture. My idea was just like ordinary people, inspiring young people to kind of, I don't know, reach for the stars. Well, yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Very
Thank you
beautiful.
very much. We saw the little NASA sign there.
Yes.
I figured maybe that's Sally Ride or something. Anyway, okay. So we were going to do a photo op, our final thing for this exciting event. So let's all walk down there and huddle with the artists and the teachers and whoever else. We'll get it done, right? Where do we face?
Over here.
That way?
Okay. Anybody who's
Whoever would like to get it.
What's that?
Or inside with you guys.
Yeah, we'll do students instead, and we can just be on the outside, because you guys want to display your art, that would be great.
Okay.
You know, they could also stand in here and you guys could be,
Yeah, because better lighting over there.
yeah, just push it. Yeah.
The buffer zone.
For security?
It's better lighting. I love that.
Oh,
that looks good.
yeah. Getting a good shot. Scrunch together there as if you know each other. There you go. That's better. Thank you. Plus, it'll look good on television.
Righty.
Thank you. Congratulations. All of you.
Congratulations. Very well done. Congratulations. Very well done.
Okay. So moving on.
My shoes were in the shop, but it's fine. Now I know to never wear sneakers.
Oh, did your shoe get in?
It's fine.
I will Photoshop it out for you.
It's
How's
fine.
that? Okay, so next item, please.
Item B, discussion items. At BA, Scott Froschauer, word on the street.
So we're starting with you or?
Sure.
with- Okay. so-
Chair Vidor, from November 2017 through November 2018, the city hosted 20 signs in parks and at libraries from multimedia artist Scott Froschauer's The Word on the Street project. This was funded through the Arts and Culture Commission's AHA, Art Happens Anywhere initiative. By utilizing the materials and visual language of street signs, but replacing the traditional negative language with positive affirmations, the word on the street sought to provide something that is missing from our daily visual diet. By the very nature of the materials, it was also perfectly suited to long-term outdoor installations. And we have the artist himself, Mr. Scott Froschauer.
Hey guys, and congratulations on your new positions. Very exciting. The main reason I wanted to come today was I wanted to be in a forum where we could have dialogue about where the project kind of stands now, and what we might be able, maybe a little postmortem on the year, but then also an assessment of where it's at right now. So in the wake of the end of the project, there had been a little bit of confusion about how to wrap it up. And so there was a hope that we could maintain certain elements of it to possibly move it forward into the future. I wasn't really sure how to proceed with it, and I wasn't sure how to actually get feedback from the commission on that. And I think what that really kind of showcases is the lack of someone who's overseeing public art that can act as kind of a go-between between the artist and the commission. So I'm trying to kind of fill that with this conversation today, to just kind of figure out how we can support each other to make it work as well as it can. When the project ended, I removed the majority of the pieces, leaving anchor points in place for us to refresh any of them if it's something that comes up in the future, if we decide to move forward with that. I left some of the pieces in place, but I had already committed many of them to a nonprofit that I was auctioning the pieces off to support. So I couldn't, by the time we finally talked, I couldn't really go back on them, so I kind of had to move forward with that. So there's currently several pieces that are still in place, and I'd love to leave those, and I don't think that there's any legal ramifications about leaving those in place, and so that would be something to discuss in this forum, as well as if those are okay to leave even though the project had ended, because we had talked about, you know, what are the ramifications of not taking them out. So I think this is maybe a good opportunity to explore what happens if we just leave them there, kind of thing. So I'm open to, you know, I'm open to whatever we'd like to do. Just, I wanted to make this an opportunity where we could actually talk about it.
Understood. Does anyone, I'm sure you do, would anyone like to start the comments on a proposal for either a reboot or a permanent?
Or just even an assessment.
Or any opinions?
Yeah, just so 4 are left. So you removed how many?
16.
You removed
16.
16, and 4 are left.
That's correct.
And are these the 4 that you're proposing here in your proposal?
I'm not really. This isn't really a. This is what I think Chuck did was he just. This isn't really a proposal. This is a dialogue. So what I think Chuck just gave you kind of my initial proposal. He just rehashed a document that I had sent a long time ago. So I wasn't really proposing anything. This was what I was hoping to do, to create a dialogue about what I might propose, what falls under the legality of proposing, what we think we might want to achieve, what's possible, you know, those sorts of things. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to any documentation you've got in front of you. I'd say it's more about, you know, how do we navigate this without someone who's managing public art? So, you know, how do we collaborate to kind of create that dialogue, if that makes sense?
Anyone else want to make a comment right now? You don't have to, but if you want to, you may.
Well, I'd love to leave the pieces.
There's several options, right?
Yeah.
So to leave the 4 that are there.
I'd love to leave them there if that's.
And, you know, I mean, we can talk about why there's no reason to move them. But then it's possible also to continue or go to phase 2, right? So you do more work because the pedestals are there.
Yes,
right?
precisely.
And so that's also another option.
Exactly.
I just wanted to, you know, what are the different options that are possible? And moving them, there's some. Okay, I'm not looking at this as a proposal. I just
well,
so you can move some of them.
Right. So the option is we can take the ones that are currently in place, leave them in place, and you know, and I think that's the lowest impact. And if that fits in with the legality, then that's obviously super easy. We could also talk about moving the ones that are in place to other locations that that do have anchors already in place, because we don't have to get those renewed for inspections and those kinds of things. So we could, you know, kind of dance those pieces around. And I'd actually be willing to do that at no cost to the city, just, you know, just for fun, because just to utilize these resources that we have and continue to gain value out of them. So that's something that we could talk about, and maybe I could put together a proposal of what that would look like. Then, obviously then expanding beyond that would be installing new work on the existing pedestals that are already there. So I think those are probably, that seems to me, just as a guess, as the spectrum of, possible ways to move forward with the project, as opposed to then removing any of the anchors that are already in place, which would be a wrapping up of the project.
Absolutely. I like the idea of rotating them because, you have done the job. We have already the anchors for you to install them. But more people would have the opportunity because some people do not frequent in all the areas that these are put. So it would be at no cost to the city. It would be for you as an artist to be having more exposure and for community to get the benefit of the wonderful idea that you're expressing. When all the rotation is done, that means we have had the chance to have almost all the areas to be able to see all the different ones.
Right.
Then maybe we could go to another phase.
Okay. That seems like, that seems something reasonable.
So the first option was to just leave the pieces as are, the 4 pieces. The second option was to do the ones that are already anchored, and that would be, I wasn't sure which, was that the 750 a piece?
No, just, so no cost would be leaving them in place. Also no cost would be me just moving around the ones that I didn't extract as part of that project, but I still have the anchors in place in parks around the city. So I would be taking the 4, for instance, there's one in front of the Central Library. So I could take that one, which again, people probably have now seen at this point, and I could take that one and I could move it to Montrose Park, for example. And so that would give people who frequent that park who might not have seen that piece, because there was a different piece there before, a chance to see a new piece. So we could take those 4 pieces and move them around to the different locations, the 20 different locations, and expose some people to the different work and get more value out of the work. So that would be, and I'd be willing to do that at no cost as well. So those would be 2 zero-cost alternatives. And then for additional cost would be fabricating new work to then go on the existing anchors that we've already deployed around the city.
To fill up the 20 anchors.
Yeah, again,
Or
and
more.
it could be a spectrum. We could say we're going to do 5 new works, or we're going to do, however, So I guess I could put together, this is a fact-finding mission on me to put together a proposal.
Okay.
So I would love to come back the next time with something that's a proposal for you.
My comment is, I didn't realize, I think we have to, we're at the outset of hopefully implementing the work plan.
Sure.
And hopefully we're going to have staff, and we're going to get going, and we're going to have big public art and temporary and neighborhood and everything. The idea of moving them around, especially if you're willing to do that at no cost, but the same pieces, and relocating them to different positions, seems like a very appropriate and certainly reasonable for us, considering the position we're in now, trying to manage our money, looking forward to what's coming. That's very generous of you, and that sounds very nice to me, and I'd really like to hear maybe what the city staff has to say also, based on the work plan and what's in it and how this kind of fits in with the scheme of things. So does somebody want to? Yes, go
Chair
ahead.
Fedor and commission members, just to let you know, the original agreement did require the artists upon the exhibition's end to remove all the pieces. So just wanted to point that out, what the contract said. In the meantime, today, the commission won't really be able to decide the issue, as you know.
Yes.
And it'll have to be brought back to you, and staff will have, recommendations. So I think then you can decide, how you wanted to work into the plan.
Thank you for that. And I take it that, just to kind of summarize what's going to happen, is that based on the input from our exchange today, staff will propose a recommendation, and then we would vote on it, and a new agreement would be struck around that recommendation.
That is correct.
So would it help for me, would it help if I put together a proposal for you guys to do recommendations on, or do you do it just based on the dialogue we're having today?
Well, I think we have to consider what's been discussed and recommended here. I think it might be a good idea for the commissioners. You know, it's clear what you're talking about, and maybe everybody could say what they would like to see happen.
Okay.
And then we can leave it to the staff to make a proposal.
So I won't actually draft anything. You guys can base it just on this dialogue. Okay, great.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm very adamant about the fact, regardless of, because it is beneficial in every possible way, that when you rotate it, I know when it's done, it is his job to take all the work out and etc. I know that no extra expenses on that. But for the artists to have the exposure, for the concept to be spread in the community, not only in one area, because each one of them is unique in their own way. So to have it all over and having it to no cost to the community, it is a thing from heaven, I believe. That's something that has the best results. Then when everything is in place and our city and our work plan gets into place, then having other additional decisions and etc. could come next. So there is no harm in doing that, and absolutely I'm adamant about the fact that it needs to be rotated so everybody could see it.
So your rotation of existing pieces. Okay, go ahead.
Even though I think it's really generous of you to say that you could move them for free, I think, but you shouldn't do that. So I think my proposal would be to rotate them and ask Scott to create 60 more pieces and reinstall the work, because I think it's a really, really powerful kind of public artwork that our city has. It's really lit up social media for our city. So I really support this project, and I think it would look they're down now. I mean, so, you know, we passed the work plan. We went through all this process of getting a whole plan together, and now the first thing that happens is some of this really nice public art comes down. I would like to avoid that, even though it's already down. I mean, my proposal would be to rotate, which is, I think, very, very important, to rotate them, to have different pieces, people interact with different pieces, and then go back to have 20 in our city. And if I can add, we have budget. I mean, it isn't that we're hamstrung, that we don't have any money to spend. You know, we have money that we can spend, I believe, on projects that have been ongoing, right?
Yes, and I would also maybe suggest that you think about including what happens later as part of whatever proposal it is. So maybe after 6 months, 9 months, a year, it's in the proposal that you vote on, that they rotate at that point or something, so that you avoid them being taken down or whatever. State your intent beyond, you know.
Right.
Okay, so that's your suggestion, and do you want to make a suggestion?
I actually do agree with Ada. I think more pieces would be great, just because I have seen these on social media and they're amazing, and I've seen them in person. But I do agree also with Commissioner de Hovhanessian that it should be rotated and more people should see them in different areas. So if that is in the proposal to get new pieces but also just rotate them out constantly, that would be amazing. So I agree with both ideas.
I've got a technical question about the nature of temporary versus permanent. And is the threshold 1 year for temporary? Do we know what the threshold is?
We haven't decided that.
Okay, so that's
That would
something.
be part of the proposal, I think.
But I mean, just for the city, for things like, you know, for permitting and things of that nature, that I know that in other cities that I've worked in, that 1 year is the maximum I can do and still be under the umbrella of temporary. So I think it's important for us to know ahead of time how temporary works versus permanent works, and, you know, however we're proposing this, that we stay under the correct umbrella, because I think we open a new can of worms when we go to permanent.
And that needs to be clarified, and if it
Yeah.
isn't clarified now, it will be clarified.
Right.
We'll do the research as
cool.
we put the proposal together.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So staff is going to work on this, and then we'll see you back.
Awesome. Thank you. It's always great to see you guys.
Thanks so much for
Appreciate
coming.
it. Happy birthday, Chuck.
Thanks, Scott.
Next item.
Item 6B, 2019-2020 work plan progress. At 6B1, citywide arts. At A, Beyond the Box utility box murals, application, website, and promotion.
Chair Vidor, Commissioners, City staff, and guests, I just want to give you an update on your work plan progress. As you know, on December 18th, the Glendale City Council approved your 2019-2020 work plan and appropriated funds to accomplish activities detailed in the work plan. Activities related to this plan will continue through the end of 2020. That's December 2020. And the following updates are programs from the work plan that have had recent activity. For example, paint a utility box, the Beyond the Box program. You wish to continue that. There is a website up where artists can upload their artwork, submit an application. It's a nice, efficient process that I think is going to serve us in the future. Here's a map. The black dots are the empty boxes that we're proposing painting. There's, I think, 13 of them up there. There might be a couple more by the time we get done. Again, it's a lot of it is built on that website application process that we're really happy to do. The next one would be your neighborhood arts, particularly the Adams Square Mini Park gas station. Staff wants to put a website application process together for that, for exhibits at the gas station. Probably get it up and running by mid-March and put out a call for artists, and perhaps as early as May, put some artwork in there. We have talked about theming it. For instance, it is Asian Pacific Heritage Month in May. It might be a good way to go. But we're developing that. The performing arts, we have one application form online for both the 2019 Brand Plaza Series and the 222 East Performance Series. So far, we've received, I put 30 here, now we're up to 40 applications, including one from a 2019 Grammy Award-winning performance group. So if they're any good, we'll get them in there at Brand or down here at Central. We're really excited about that. I think that's going to be a good deal. Again, it's a pretty straightforward application process that's online. We had a lot of help from legal, but it's simple. It's just dirt simple. You can upload a picture, you can spell out your URL, your SoundCloud, or whatever, YouTube. We don't have to decipher that. It's really much easier to look at all the applications, to get all the information out in a timely fashion.
Can I just stop you right here? Sure. Because there's a number of things on here, and I thought maybe, if it's okay, we could take these first three items and see if anybody has any comments or questions, and then move on from there. Mm-hmm. So for citywide arts, neighborhood, and performing arts, does anyone have a comment or question about any of those three? Utility box, mini park, performing arts.
So I did have a question about the neighborhood arts. I know we discussed having 2 neighborhoods per year, and right now we're just talking about supporting Adams Square Mini Park gas station. So I want to know where we are on getting those 2 neighborhoods going, really.
Yeah, right now, we have not identified other neighborhoods. There is one park that is able to take statues, basically the Parks Department,
Park.
Fremont.
Park, yeah.
But that really won't be ready for at least a year. That's what Parks told me.
So these are only parks? I mean, what about the rest of the neighborhood?
Well, it's a city
land.
City land, so we can kind of
work easier with parks.
It's a lot easier to
Will we be working with Parks and Recs with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt and just while I'm thinking of it, ask a question about this? Co-Urbanize was such a great venue platform to use to get feedback and input. And I don't know if we still have access to it, but this second neighborhood thing, like introducing the concept of another neighborhood having a public art project, it seems like some venue platform like that would be a wonderful way to get feedback from the community. So, somebody's coming to the
Oh,
dais.
yeah. I think I got
So
you.
you have
So,
something.
Chair Vidor, Commissioners, and staff, I think many of your questions, I think, relate to what I'm going to cover with staffing, as well as what Maria is going to cover with website.
Then why don't we hold off and finish these three, and you'll come back? Because, if that question's being addressed somewhere else, then.
Yeah, we may want to just get through the progress, and then whatever questions we could answer for you.
All right, so nothing else. I had a couple things. I wanted to ask on these applications, you have one for the box and one for the performing arts. Who's the audience for? They go out by email, right? And it's, like I did get the performing arts, but I didn't get the box, the utility box.
Correct. The box is going out probably tomorrow morning.
Okay, they haven't gone out yet,
No.
but do they go out to the same artists? Do they go out to artist groups? How do you determine who
All
gets?
that. So we have a variety of media outlets that we target. We have a gigantic list of past artists and artists who sign up for email notifications through the library. We have the city, coming out in March is City Connections. That goes out to 30,000 some residents and people interested in Glendale affairs. So those kinds of outlets besides press releases will go to all the media, just the general media.
Okay.
But we also target arts media.
Arts media, okay.
Yeah.
That was my next question, so thank you. Okay,
Similar to what Brand Library does, we use
Right.
that same sort of list.
okay. Anything else on those three, and then we'll go on? Okay, let's go on.
Actually,
Oh,
I have
you have one?
something. So, for instance, if we go forward with Scott's project, it would fall under one of these. Right, it would fall under maybe neighborhood arts, or
Citywide.
Citywide.
it would be citywide, right? So we would then, so it would be citywide because it's all over the city.
Art everywhere.
What's that?
Art happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Also known as citywide arts, yeah, okay.
So, I mean, that would be good, that would have some more activity under that heading, even though we still are kind of strapped with the staffing issue.
Before we move on, the other issue, not issue, but point I wanted to make for citywide art, I know that the landmark piece is a big one and we need the staffing before we do that, but I just want to obviously, again, make a point that I think that's the most important part of our entire work plan is to have a landmark piece produced hopefully within the next 2 years. So as soon as we get the full-time staff, part-time staff, which we'll discuss in a little bit, getting them to work on the landmark piece. I think that's the most important part of the citywide art. Just wanted to make that point.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on to arts and cultural events.
Commissioner, Chair Vidor, Commission, and City staff, planning for the March 30, 2019 Cesar Chavez celebration is in progress. We have our marketing administrator, Maria Sundin, to speak to that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy birthday, Chuck.
Thanks, Maria.
So the Cesar Chavez event is something that the city's been doing for a couple of years now. It's in conjunction with Parks Department and Library Arts and Culture. We've had our initial brainstorming meeting, and it looks like it's going to be expanding beyond what we've done previously, which we're really excited about. It'll take place on Saturday, March 30th from 1 to 3:30. It will include a photo contest and a parade of young people that will march around the park and end up in the middle of the plaza where there'll be speeches, kind of a carnival atmosphere, flamenco dancers, mariachis, and first grade. The young first graders will be doing a performance in Spanish. We'll have a raffle with 2 bikes that'll be handed off, and food, entertainment, free tacos, stuff like that. But really, the idea is truly to support what Cesar Chavez was standing for, which is, justice, fair working conditions. So really wanted to emphasize that in our materials and our events. So that's a pretty big event that's happening, and we're in the process of planning that. One thing that's not on this list, I'm just going to mention very briefly, is our pre-planning for the centennial of the women's suffrage, which is 2020. We are currently in early discussions with other city departments, and I'm mentioning that today because I know that we're going to be leaning on the commission to do some significant support for this event. It's 100 years of acknowledging the women's right to vote, and I think it's definitely a worthwhile thing that the city needs to get behind. I don't see a vision of having some speakers and having a gallery exhibit and having it be kind of a normal event. It's really something that needs to be acknowledged and celebrated. And in fact, it's an election year, so it's even more important to celebrate the right to vote. So I just wanted to mention that since I was at the podium.
I like that.
Yeah.
Could I ask about the hours, from what time till what time?
It'll be from 1 to 3:30 for the
1 to 3:30.
3:30. Mm-hmm.
At Pacific Park.
Yes, Pacific Park. Did I not mention that? I apologize.
Thank you. We're going on to staffing now. Staffing actions.
Oh, no, I had, are we allowed to make comments, or are we going to
Yes,
finish
yes, go
completely?
ahead.
So, one of the things that I did want to, I guess I could put this in staff comments.
Okay.
I'll wait till staff comments,
Okay.
sorry, commission comments.
All right, let's go on to staffing action, and then we'll take a break and have comments. Okay.
All right.
Staffing action.
Chair Vidor, commissioners, and city staff. I was asked to come to give an update on the staffing as part of the work plan. Our director is out of town this week, so you got me.
Happy to have you.
He wanted to have me let you know that he spoke to city management, and the plan right now is to get someone hired as quickly as possible, which I'm sure the commission's happy to hear. To make that happen, what we're planning to do is move forward right now with hiring someone in a part-time capacity that would actually be a staff member of the city. Moving forward this way, we'll be able to move the process forward much quicker than if we were to pursue a consultant right now. The consultant we'd have to produce an RFP, go through legal, so it's just more hoops to jump through. So the plan right now is to hire part-time. We're thinking, I think the discussion was around 30 hours a week. And it will be funded out of just the Library, Arts, and Culture Department's budget right now for staffing. Our plan is, we're approaching the budget cycle right now for fiscal year, what would that be, 1920? Wow, time flies. And we're planning to ask for more funding to be able to support this position. Let's see. As I mentioned, a consultant would require an RFP. A permanent full-time employee also would be a much longer process because we have to go through Civil Service Commission and all of that in terms of getting the position added and work through HR. So, as I mentioned, the plan is part-time. Our next step is finalizing the job description, which is being done. We pretty much had it drafted, but now it's being done to reflect that it's now going to be a part-time position. The director, Gary Schaefer, is also working with Matt Doyle, our HR director, to do a compensation analysis for similar positions. We want to make sure that we offer the right scale of pay so that we attract the right people with an arts administration background or whatever that it entails. So that's where we're at with staffing. So we're finalizing, as I mentioned, Maria's been working with Gary to finalize the job description. We'll get it posted. Once it's posted for, whatever set amount of time, we'll be able to conduct interviews and get somebody started, hopefully as soon as possible.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments?
comments or questions. Now, this part-time person is going to be a gopher, or is this person is going to have the qualifications to do the job as a part-time? That's very important. I know that we are starting something, we are initiating something. So I know within the government system, we need to move people here and there, et cetera. So I hope it's not kind of in that shovel. We would make sure that we are getting the person with the qualification, even though it's part-time.
Definitely understand your feedback, and we'll take that into consideration. From everything that I've been told, we want to compensate this person so that we bring on a high-level candidate that can actually do the work of overseeing the work plan. The intent is not to bring on a part-time person that really has no authority to carry things forward. Though my understanding is they're going to work in the administrative offices alongside myself, Maria, Gary, Chuck, so that they can report to the Arts and Culture Commission and focus on the work plan. It's just by doing it in this way, we're able to move things faster. And I do think that by having this person in the position, they're successful, they're doing well, it really makes it a lot easier to bring it on in a full-time capacity and also explore different funding options for the position. Like if we were to have explored urban art funds, for example, we would have to go in and open the ordinance to make changes to that through council, which again is another process that we'd have to go through, and it would probably slow us down.
So can I get the confirmation? So the person who's coming in is going to be directed by you and Maria and Chuck and et cetera, kind of more of a person being behind the desk, as I mentioned. I hope this is not insulting, but as a kind of a gopher who would be processing whatever you guys are deciding till we get the person in place that needs to do the real job.
I don't know that I would say that is the case. I really think it's going to be their job, and the job description is going to be written as such that they're going to oversee the work of the work plan and work closely with commission to carry these things forward. To me, it's not as many hours per week, but really the responsibility and the authority of that position I don't think is changed. We need to bring someone on that can focus on this work and help us get it done.
Does anyone else want to make a comment or ask a question? Go ahead.
Yes, I think this is a really, really good plan to move forward, because obviously there are better options, but the other options are close to us. So I think this is very, very good, and it's very important to consider the fact to get somebody who really is an arts administrator, who knows the field, knows the players, is connected, and I think that person can be found, especially if it's like a 30 hours a week kind of positions. I think that person can be found. So I think that's a great way to move forward and move forward quickly. The process, the hiring process, I know it's a city thing, but will we have any visibility into who are the candidates? Will we have any kind of say on who could be the best person for that from the candidates that have applied or been selected?
I don't think the process has been firmly set in place yet, but I think that's a better question I'd have to ask Gary and get back to you on.
Okay, thank you.
Can we make it a request at least?
Let's see if Savannah has anything to say.
I don't want to jump into it because we want to hire somebody immediately to start working to make the wrong decision and hire somebody, because if you're hiring someone part-time, you're eventually going to make them full-time, and you're keeping them around for a while. They're going to be trained, they're going to be knowing the ins and outs, so you don't want to waste time firing them to hire somebody else or a consultant or whatever it might be. So I don't want to make the wrong decisions. So I do agree that I would like some sort of oversight. I know the legality might be a bit confusing, but I think we should have a part in it, because they'll be doing what we are asking, and we hope it's somebody that knows Glendale pretty well and the structures and our vision of what we want for art in Glendale. So I want to know what the chair has to say about this.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on if this 30-hour part-time person is the person who would eventually move into the full-time. Is that the understanding, or is this a separate position from the full-time administrator?
To hire full-time, we would have to create the position, go through civil service, work with HR, then if we go through that process, then I would assume this person could apply. You know, there's no saying that they're just like, you know, there's civil service rules that we have to follow to hire anybody.
I understand.
You know, so I
So is
think-
the intention to do that, though? Whether this person eventually applies for that or not, will there be an action to go through the whole process and post a position for a full-time administrator?
I think that's what we all would like to see happen, but right now we just want to get somebody hired based on the things that we've discussed with the commission in terms of that art administration background and really being able to implement the work plan. So that'll be reflected in the bulletin that gets posted. Hopefully, like I said, based on a salary study of similar positions in other cities surrounding us, that we'll be able to attract the right candidates.
Okay, I hope so, because I think that it's important that we do not compromise on the quality of the person here and their ability to essentially be a public art administrator and move that iconic art piece of the plan forward and everything else. So hopefully they have, you know, there's somebody with gravitas.
Okay, could I now talk? Chairperson? It's a request, definitely, if possible, I mean, serious request, that in the first process of, is it just a person, as I said, moving in, or could commissioners or one commissioner or somebody selected from this dais to be on the selection of the part-time and definitely on the one that is full-time? I wanted to go higher up to whomever you need to talk about this. This is very important. I've seen Art and Culture Commission when they had the staff that was closely working with the commissioners. We had seen so much work done in the city. We participated in so many activities. So because the person was really capable of doing all the stuff that was expected of the DICE. So I definitely believe that one person from this commission should be in the hiring process on both. For the part-time, it's a request. You can put it in whichever way, lingo it works, that it's a major request. I really, truly believe it needs to happen. And then on, if this person, when we get every criteria for the hiring in place, if this person wants to continue, God bless her, most probably, why not? But the fact is that we need to make sure that whoever is initiated into that position is capable of doing the job. So that would make your life easier, because if you have to be there monitoring every second of the thing, that is not going to serve the purpose, because then your time is taken for the job. That part-time would not be a reality. It would be, as I said, a secretarial work or a go-first person. But we need to start the work plan properly, even with a part-time. So put it, comment, write it down, whatever you want to make sure that it is in the minutes that Commissioner Derhovanesyan truly requests that that should be part of the process. Thank you.
Okay. So this will be coming back. Okay. So should we go on to marketing and outreach efforts? The next item on the marketing and outreach.
Hello, Maria Sundin, Principal Administrator of Marketing for Library Arts and Culture. I'm just going to give you a little background about what we've been doing to build support for some of the work plan efforts and the ideas that we have moving forward. In the fall of last year, we decided to establish an arts roundtable group, and this was done prior to and during the process of building the work plan. And we got together 5 key organizations within the city of Glendale. I believe that they're listed on your packet. Glendale Arts, Glendale Center Theater, Antius Theater, ACE 121, and the Museum of Neon Art, as well as the Brand Library and Art Center, and the Reflect Space staff. So we had quite a team of people sitting around the table, and our plan was to come together to collaborate, come up with ideas, and really work together to build a greater arts community, but also to come up with collaborative ideas that can be implemented citywide, that we could bring to the Commission's attention and work together. In the middle of this process, our Director, Gary Schaefer, brought to us the opportunity to apply for a citywide grant it's handed by the California Arts Council about placemaking in cities. So while our first meeting should have been about getting to know each other and saying hello, it ended up being about what can you add to this grant. So it wasn't disingenuous, but and it was a tiny bit unfortunate, but it was also an opportunity to really kind of jump right in with both feet. So Elisa's here with Glendale Arts, and she can attest to a lot of the work that went into this and the conversations that went back and forth. Each organization submitted a plan for this grant to get $150,000 over 2 years for the city of Glendale to build arts in the community. And each of the arts partners planted their own idea within the grant. So that was submitted as part of the narrative to the Arts Council. We haven't yet heard, and we probably won't hear until later in the summer whether or not we get the grant, but the directive from the city and from our own department director was that we would go forward with some parts of that plan regardless of whether we get the funding. So as it moves forward, I'm happy to present to you what that was and what's going to be, but I wanted to let you know the background of how the Arts Table was founded. We had our second meeting just this week, and we're hoping to meet every month prior to the commission meeting so I could come to you and report what their efforts are, what they want to do, and get feedback from you and come to the table with them for the next month and really do a lot more integrated collaboration with the arts organizations. So we had a meeting on Tuesday. We talked about establishing a First Thursday event among all the organizations. There were a lot of variables and a lot of concerns, but a lot of exciting ideas. We also talked about promoting a specific kind of event, whether it's a 3-day arts weekend or a 4-day arts week that we could do together. And these are both ideas that came from the commission as well as organically from the Arts Roundtable. So I'm happy to let you know that we are all aligned in what we are trying to do. So we're working right now on ways to move forward with that, but I will keep you apprised as we make decisions and obviously rope you in on what we're going to be doing and how you can support the efforts for the roundtable. So that's a big part of the outreach with the arts organization for that. For the work plan itself, we realized that, especially with Mr. Scott Froschauer coming in and presenting, that there's a big lapse in the opportunity for the public and other artists to communicate with the commission. So our one of the initial directives in the work plan was to establish a website. So we've actually been working on submitting an outline for and a navigation plan for a potential Arts and Culture Commission website. We've recently revamped the Brand Library and Arts Center website. We're in the middle of establishing a new website for the Reflect Space Gallery. We submitted an RFP last summer for different designers, so we're just basically incorporating the RFP responses from that to build this so we can fast track the Arts and Culture Commission website off of efforts we've already done in the department. So I took a look at the website pages and really created a very bare bones kind of effort for the website. And we'll start here with the call to artists being a priority as well as an arts calendar, and then listing programs and events and what the commission's about. From there, we will, of course, be working, or whoever our new liaison will be working hand in hand with you to develop additional pages or content and information, and ensure that whatever we do add is strategic and doesn't bury people in too much information, but keeps it streamlined and informative. From my perspective, the priority for this website would be the call for artists applications, so that people could submit year-round and we could promote any programs that we have on the table to really move it forward. I have some pretty significant connections with the Los Angeles Culture Network. So once the job description is out and we have the programs established, I can promote that to the LA Culture Network as well. So our marketing and outreach is, our soldiers are lined up and ready to march out the door. And I think that by the next meeting, we'll have more progress to report.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from anyone?
I'll wait.
You'll wait. Ara? Anything?
Job well done. I think it's very nice. It's the items that you have there, because it's not only calling for artists. You know, there are times that you want to preview and see what has been done or events that has happened, and you know, to recollect certain ideas. So from what I see, you have put almost anything that if I look into it, I would like to see. Maybe there is more, but personally, I think it catches whatever needs to be there. Maybe it could be more defined, but it is very nice work. Good job.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be in that arts roundtable as Reflect Space representative, and a really good group of people, really good energy in that group. And, you know, I think the whole idea of bringing very important, vital arts organizations in the city together to create a larger entity is really important. I think, you know, I think the commission can really be supporting that effort also, and we can be working in many ways. Whatever idea that the Arts Roundtable comes up to, I think we should really be supporting that kind of expanding of the arts kind of footprint in our city.
I'm going to make most of my comments later, but just for this specific group, so I didn't realize that this was newly formed, and I was wondering, so I know that we had discussed the specific organizations that we wanted to be included, but I do remember having named Tufenkion Fine Arts to be included, and I don't see that on the list of things, and I also wanted to ask, I know that sometimes like the downtown specific association, I forgot what they're called, that Shant goes to. Can we have somebody who goes to these meetings? I mean, I know you're there on behalf of Reflect Space, but I would love to be there and hear what they have to say.
Right. I've had feedback, and we've discussed that internally. My personal feeling, I just a little background on me. I established a similar roundtable before in Sonoma County when I was working with the Sonoma County Art Museum, and I feel that initially that the arts groups need to be contained, because it could just bleed out into movie theaters and businesses and restaurants, and we really want to keep it arts focused, but also we wanted to limit it to not privately owned businesses, but nonprofit institutions with staff, so that we could lean on their opportunities to get funding, but also their staffing availabilities. As projects are developed and created, we would bring in the Downtown Business Association or Tufenkion. For example, we actually had a discussion where we wanted to include them in discussions about the first Thursdays. So once that's decided, we would have meetings about those specific events, and that's when we would invite other galleries or other privately owned institutions in. But this really, if wanted to limit it primarily to the arts organizations, initially to just keep it contained, and from there, project by project, other people can be invited to be included and be involved in the planning and more of the details, things like that.
Is Museum of Neon Art an organization, or is it a museum?
It's an organization, just like the Antaeus Theater.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar.
Then I would just like to make a comment for like in the near future to include somebody like Tufenkion or somebody like Armenian American Museum, because I mean this is a great group, but you're skipping 40% of the population of Glendale, and I think they should have a voice in the say of what's happening with arts. It would just be nice to hear, or just if we can be involved. So that was my second question. If we can be at the meetings.
Well, I think I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but if you have more than one commissioner at a meeting, I think it constitutes an actual meeting. Doesn't it?
No, more than two.
Two.
Yeah, two.
So if he was there on behalf of Reflect Space and we appointed somebody to be at the meetings, is that possible?
Yeah, I would actually like to talk to them about it. I'm very open to whatever happens organically, but I want to feel that the artists feel protected and that they can speak openly about what they want to accomplish. And from there, I think that's kind of my first concern, is to say I want to get their feedback. This is their group,
But didn't we form this group?
No, it wasn't formed by the commission.
We're not the ones isn't it supposed to be a discussion between different organizations and the Arts and Culture Commission? And let's say you're the person that's in between.
No, I founded this. The week that I was first brought into my job was something I brought up with the director of Library Arts and Culture about this idea. this is the first time it's ever brought to the attention of the commission or anything like that, so I'm not sure what you mean.
I don't want to press on the issue, but I don't think there's anything to protect them against us about.
No, I'm not trying to.
We will buy
I think that, I'm recognizing
We love
that.
artists.
No, I understand. I'm just recognizing that these organizations have their own constituents, and I want to hear. I want them to agree what works for their organization, for their groups. That's all. I'm not going to. I'll make that suggestion.
Yeah, please.
But I'm just kind of the curator of the group, so to speak. I'm not the leader. So I'm really there to listen and to help them collaborate. Okay.
So
that's
then
how I see my role.
I would love for you to just bring up, the commission wants to be more involved. Would you mind having one commission member join your meetings and they would vote on who gets to be there? No change on a yearly basis on who would be in on the meetings. If you can just bring that up, please. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of you for. We talked at the last meeting about needing to be updated and to keep up with the plan and really keep this thing moving, and I really appreciate the efforts and work you've put into moving the plan forward, getting things going and taking more questions and putting more things into the pot for the next meeting. I think it's great, and I feel very optimistic now that we're going to move forward. Cautiously optimistic, but optimistic all the time. And I wanted to ask a couple questions and make a couple comments, particularly about the website. Well, first of all, when the notices go out and land in people's email box for applications and calls to artists, it would be great if it could come from the Arts and Culture Commission. I think right now it says Library Arts and Culture Info is the sender, and then there's call for artists for whatever, and it would be nice to have that be directly from the Arts and Culture Commission. Secondly, I'm looking at the architecture here, and I'm deeply involved in a lot of websites, so I just like to look at websites, and I know that you're doing something with the brand's website and you're creating individual portals that people will go into and they'll see like a standalone site, right, for different types of elements within the city, and Brand Library is one of them. So will this site kind of thematically pull together all the other sites? Is it going to look similarly? Is there going to be kind of an arts image, an overall umbrella arts image, or are they all going to be different? Thank you for coming back.
Yeah. The identity of Reflect Space is certainly unique from the identity of brand. So I think that recognizing the different look, feel, approach, and brand image of each institution is important. I think you're going through that now with the associates.
Right.
So I do see this as being its own entity. It's still a city department and commission, so in the process, I think it's going to be important to recognize the relationship with the city and stay pretty true to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some more questions. I wasn't sure what you had in mind. Oh, first of all, programs and events and arts calendar. I just wondered what the difference was between those two.
Well, that would be categories and descriptions. So programs and events would be, beyond the box would be a descriptive category, but a calendar would be an actual calendar.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you're talking about the types of things that people can participate in versus, okay, I see. Yeah, I know this is a project you're working on, and thank you for doing that. I think it's really important that we have a comprehensive site. I think that somewhere, obviously not on the main header bar, but somewhere in the drop-downs, there should be links to the urban art program plan and the current work plan, which I know you didn't drill down into everything, but I'd certainly be happy to hear more about it, and I would love if we're kept apprised of how this is developing. Because I think this is really great, and it's really important that it be very navigable and that people can really understand what we're doing and who we are by looking at this. So it looks like it's off to a great start. What's images and ideas? You came up before when I mentioned co-urbanize, so I thought maybe you were going to say something about that.
To address what you just said,
Yeah.
Our initial plan was to take everything that's currently existing on the Arts and Culture Commission website information and transport it here, which includes the work plans and the long-term urban art program plan. But co-urbanize, I cannot tell you how valuable I also think it is for the commission's work. I've been doing, I'm afraid that, I don't know what the agreement is with the city, but I've been doing screenshots of everything that's on there in case it just magically disappears because I think it's so important.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to include a link. But the concept was to translate some of what's on co-urbanize to that page, ideas that people had come up with, images
Just
of different
freewheeling.
neighborhoods.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, things like that.
That's a great idea. I just like to say that I hope somehow we can make more use in the city of Glendale of co-urbanize because it's just a great way, especially on the subject of getting another neighborhood involved in the neighborhood thing and things where we really need to get the public's input again, like we did in the very beginning with these big parties we had and, having co-urbanize up. We should restart that. Come on, public, tell us what you want. And so any way that might happen would be great.
I think we had talked about, as part of ideas and images, a suggestion area.
Oh.
Right, Maria?
Like our own
Yeah,
co-urbanize.
exactly. Yeah, very similar
Yeah,
to the
similar. So
co-urbanize.
people could come on and suggest projects or suggest not just art pieces, but, whatever
Sure.
that they think should be in front of the commission.
Okay, did you have another comment you wanted to make?
I had to make.
You raised- All right.
I forgot.
Go ahead.
Wary of taxing the staff more than it already is, I would suggest a retreat to work on this website because, the website is so important in terms of our identity, right? I think people will see us much more online than they actually see what projects we do out in the world. So I know it's perhaps a bit difficult, but I would like to just suggest perhaps not like all-day retreat, but maybe like 3-4 hour retreat of the commission looking at the website. We went through the Reflect Space website recently for hours and hours and hours. I don't have to go through that kind of process, but I think getting off the dais and making the suggestions and talking about what we would like to see and what is the look and feel that we would like to have on that website is kind of important. And so I just like to make suggestions. If you think there is enough staffing possibly to do that, it would be nice.
Well, meeting and for publicity and meeting, marketing, all the different organizations, art organizations, non-art organizations, those that can provide even financial support for our programs and etc. Well, we used to have a mixer. That was a good idea. Somehow I do feel that commissioners truly need to be involved. When it is a fait accompli to come to the commission and to say this was discussed, this one thing, or maybe because I'm a very feely-touchy person, I like to see people's faces when they talk. To have a commissioner present at a meeting gives the idea also, because sometimes it's not what is written or what is said, because I might say something with the gusto or whatever comes from my within, but when community discusses and participates in something, to have a commissioner to feel and touch like where the community is. And truly, I do believe that Art and Culture Commissioner's job is to be the one that protects and is there to promote artists and the community. So we are their friend. We are not the person that we are the high on the whatever that kind of final reports comes to us. So if possible, if we could make it more friendly, make it more accessible for the community representatives, because we are also like they are, but we are people who are specialized in our areas and sitting on this dais representing community as well. So we are the conduit between the city council and community. So one of us being on that is going to help you more, and it also would promote things and would make the artists also feel that this is not just business, because staff means business. We are the consultants, we are the friends, we are the promoters of the art in our city as well. So possibly, I would like to see that happen.
I also think I can make my comment now, since we're going to move on to
We're
staff.
going to go on to staff comments.
Okay.
So, next item. Thank you very much, Maria. Great update.
Item 7, commission staff comments.
Okay, who wants to start?
I can start. So it's kind of going back to that, but it's a little bit more detail. So I know I've brought it up several times since I've been on the commission, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think it would be an amazing addition to the city of Glendale to have the art walk. And it was actually great to see it on the work plan, and that the roundtable discussion was, they were discussing having an event like that come to fruition. So I do want to discuss that further. And right now we have the 2019 plan. I looked for the arts and culture events to have a major event. We have 40,000 allocated, and we haven't done any events since we're 3 months into the new year. So we should get working on a major event. I think the art walk would be the best option, especially if most of our organizations are willing to work with us, or we're willing to work with them and support them if they want to do it. So I think it'll allow for artists in Glendale to make a living. It'll showcase a lot of pieces in an informal setting. It'll foster cultural diversity and create a space of art for families to come together. I think the best location would obviously be the Arts and Entertainment District and on Artsakh Street. I did discuss this with the city clerk, who did say that, that would be a great location, but you have to ensure that the businesses would be okay with that, because we're discussing an art walk ultimately would be I would consider it downtown Glendale Art Walk. It would be a free self-guided walking tour located in the Arts and Entertainment District of Glendale on Artsakh Street. It would feature work from galleries, individual artists, cultural institutions, and occasional site-specific installations. And it would obviously be on a specific evening of each month. So the group had come up with I think, first or second Thursday. I don't know if that's the best idea, because I know downtown Los Angeles has it on the second Thursday, so you don't want 2 major art walks on the same day in the same city or surrounding areas. So I want to see what my fellow commissioners and chair think about this. I do love the idea. It's kind of my baby, so I want to see how you guys feel about this and moving forward. Are we allowed to have dialogue now?
No.
We're not. We're not. Okay, so never mind.
But
You want to
Chair Bador
question.
and Commissioner Zadorno, staff can bring it back to you
Yes.
for discussion at
So
a future
I do want to
date.
make a question about it. So
asking for an
since we
agenda
can't-
item?
Yeah, so I would
Okay.
like to make an agenda. That's what I would be doing. Okay.
Requesting an agenda.
So I'm requesting it to be on the agenda, and I would like for staff to look into the budgeting of such an event, and in having possible sponsors for the event, such as Tufenkyon Fine Arts or Downtown Glendale Association, Crusoe affiliated. I know that the Downtown Los Angeles is actually sponsored by small local businesses, but also the banks. So U.S. Bank, and we have multiple banks here on brand. Why wouldn't they want to sponsor us or some of the businesses that are local to Artsakh Street? So I would like to see maybe some more information on budgeting, and maybe talk to the city manager and see if this is possible. And then we can talk about it next time.
Agenda item. Okay.
Please.
Comments? Anyone else has comments?
Yes, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to ask legal to try to define this word, temporary art, because now Maria is gone, but we've been talking about what exactly that means throughout the time that we talked about with the master art plan. There was no discussion as to what a temporary work of art is, public art, for instance. And that I'm realizing it's kind of critical. And Scott just today mentioned that there's some cities who define it to be 1 year. I've always in my mind defined it to be temporary art is 2 or 3 years, permanent is 10 years plus, or something like this, but it's kind of vague. I think it's kind of an important thing, because when we speak about it, so we're going to be speaking about this, so we need to be precise in how we address these things. So when I said temporary, I know exactly what I'm talking about, and my fellow commissioners know, and people know exactly what we're saying, and we can define it. So I would like to see if legal could come up with some kind of definition for that.
Chair Vidor, yeah, we'll be happy to look into, and staff will get back to you, and Commissioner Oshigan. But in most instances, it's really the commission, in their own plan defines what temporary art is, okay? So in other words, it's ultimately it'll be a decision of the commission whether they want it to be 1 year, 2 years, and it's mainly not so much a legal, I would say, as more as an operational issue, but we'll be happy to report back to you.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to put that on the agenda next meeting so we can discuss it and come up.
And I think
and I think it makes sense that we should come up.
purposes of Scott, we were going to look into that. Okay, great, good. You're next.
Thank you.
It is not a comment, it's not a question, it is just a presentation, I believe. Because for me, I do love art, but I was lost for quite a while because one of the major art stores in our city was closed. So I didn't know where to go and get my artwork. And also for other artists who are asking. So the art center, sort of the art store center, Swain, has moved now, and what they have done, they have taken the toys and etc. out, and now you know that they hire students and artists to come and work and help young artists to know what to choose. So it is not a store that sells, it is a store that also helps you to find your way in producing what you want to produce. So it is open. I don't know if I can announce where the location is, but the store is on somewhere else in Glendale, so you guys can go and find it maybe on the website. I don't know if they have already got the website. They have created an art corner for the people to come and sit, and they would teach you, do different artwork, and use different paints. So it has become really a more art center than an art store. So I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the location. If not, just know that the store is still in Glendale, but not in the same location that it used to be. Can I give the location? Oh, it is on San Fernando between, oh no, sorry, it is on Colorado between Columbus and Pacific. And it has become like a big warehouse. It is not like a store. And they have these millions and millions of different art, any kind, paint and any form, whatever you want to create, they are there to help you. So it is very important for my artist friends to find the location because truly we were at loss. Anyhow, thank you.
Thank you. I just have one comment that's it's the same thing. It's a presentation. I was wondering if we could add maybe on a quarterly basis or maybe even on a monthly basis to get some transparency to the amount of money in the fund and where it's coming from. I know that in some of the paperwork we've been given, and if you drill into the city's website, the funding of the Urban Art Fund is public information, and it would be great to, and I don't know how much it's changing, maybe not at all, but it would be great to really know how many bucks are in that fund, and, also to see it's trending too, so we can start to predict and know when we need to look for grants and things like that. So it's a request.
I'll make a note to add that as part of the update.
Okay.
For the work plan. Maybe
great.
just a fund or expenditures update.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Could I ask one more?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know where we got with the idea of grant writer, because, we discussed a lot about the fact that it would be great for the city to have a grant writer, because eventually this money, we know the market would be saturated with new buildings and et cetera, but we would need to have a specialized person that they might not be hired just on monthly basis and, different healthcare, et cetera. They could be hired based on the projects, and they do they're great grant writers who are specifically for certain things, and they get a commission if we get the grant. So that is the best deal. District used to do that a lot. I would like to see city to do that. I'm not too sure where we got with that, though. It was discussed, but I don't know, did it get lost in the idea, or it's still somewhere?
I know that one of the suggestions was that part of the job description includes something to do with development in their background. So I haven't seen the job description, but I would assume I don't know that we could require that, but it would be a preference with someone that had grant writing in their background or some type of fundraising.
On that, I need to tell you by experience, because I've done many years. While the staff could be aware and should have as part of the expertise, like we were all trained also in grant writing, but we were not the actual person who was writing the grant. We were hiring on commission the grant writer who was very good at the job and on the given, but we knew what we need to feed the grant writer so that it would provide what it needs to happen. So the staff could be knowledgeable in the area, but if you really want to get the grant, especially people get really excited about the fact that they are going to get the commission out of the big money they are going to bring us. So that would be my advice, to go that way for sure. Thank you.
Okay, next item, please.
Item 8, written communications. I have none.
Next
And
item.
Item
Adjourn.
9, adjournment.
Okay, we're adjourned, thank you.
Hit the gavel.